Kate, we have a problem. Sarah's documents have been tampered with, and if we don't do something, the deal will fall through. Please, you have to do something.
Ethan stood pleadingly at the desk of Kate, the manager. His face was pale, the very image of desperation. Kate, too, looked shocked, her mouth agape as if to say, "You can't be serious." Right, it's today when Louis, the COO of our major client, World Bay Corporation, was coming to the US. The deal, which Sarah was in charge of, with Ethan supporting, was expected to be our biggest yet. We're looking at the deal here that's poised to hit the highest revenue we've ever seen in our company's history. A whopping $100 million. A failure would be a disaster for the company.
What are you talking about? We thoroughly checked the documents yesterday. There's no way they could have been altered. Check again.
Kate tried to calm Ethan.
I've checked multiple times. The original documents are nowhere to be found. Only the altered data.
Ethan, go and get Sarah. Get Sarah.
Sarah's currently explaining the situation to Louis, the COO of World Bay Corporation, and can't leave.
No choice then. Making me deal with this. You guys won't be forgiven later.
She entered the conference room with Ethan. As I was left alone in the office, worrying about the big trouble, I was startled by a voice from behind asking, "What's wrong?" "George, when did you get here?"
I just arrived. It seemed like something serious was going on.
George, the director of our department, always easygoing, said this to me in his usual carefree manner. I explained the situation since it was a major issue for the company. The COO of our major client, World Bay Corporation, is here for a meeting, but there seems to be a holdup because the documents Sarah prepared were tampered with. Ethan came to call me, and manager Kate has gone to offer help in the conference room now. Right after I finished explaining, George said this.
Kate can't handle this. You go help, Michael.
Me?
Yes, you. You can get through this.
I didn't know why George was so confident, but he wasn't wrong. I was sure I could handle this crisis. Understood. Without hesitation, I said that and knocked on the conference room door before entering. Inside, Kate was desperately explaining to COO Louis, with Sarah about to cry and Ethan looking helpless.
Oh no, what are you saying? We can't proceed with the deal based on that explanation. We'll have to start over.
It was indeed a bad situation. In that moment, seeing me, Kate said,
Michael, why are you coming in now? It's a critical moment. Your presence ruins everything. Go make some coffee.
Kate ordered me with a fierce look. Then George, standing behind me, said,
Kate, you're the one to make coffee. Leave the negotiation to Michael.
George, I hate to say it, but Michael is the least capable employee in our department, so I cannot agree with letting him handle this crucial negotiation.
Kate was desperately trying to calm herself. Kate, this isn't a suggestion. It's an order. Just go ahead and do as you're told, he said firmly, unlike his usual gentle manner. At those words, Kate couldn't object but stepped back with an unconvinced look, glaring at me.
Excuse me. I'm George, the department head. I'm sorry for any inconvenience caused. Michael will take over. He's an excellent employee, a Harvard graduate.
George quickly approached Louis and exchanged greetings with him for the first time.
What?
Huh?
Indeed, you seem to have a smart look, Michael. I feel reassured discussing with you.
After exchanging greetings with George, Louis extended his hand for a handshake to me. As Kate and Ethan looked on in astonishment, I hurried over to Louis. "Pleased to meet you," I said as we shook hands, and then I sat next to Sarah. "I'm Michael Anderson, a 30-year-old in my 5th year of working. I work for a major jewelry manufacturing company. Though it's my 5th year working, I've only been at this company for 2 months. I was searching for a new job due to various concerns at my previous company when, by chance, the president of this company knew my uncle, who spoke on my behalf, and I was hired mid-career. Just as I joined, an initiative to boost overseas business was launched, and several members from what had been a domestic sales team, including me, were reassigned to this new project. My manager is Kate Smith, a woman about 10 years my senior, and then there's Sarah Brown, 1 year senior than me. You joined the company straight out of college. There's also Ethan Martinez, who has less experience in the workforce than I do, but with more time at this company since he joined as a new graduate. Working with this team can be troublesome, as 2 of them seem particularly skilled at looking down on me. Those 2 are Kate and Ethan. Sarah, on the other hand, is kind and considerate, popular across departments, and I was charmed by her from my first day. And she's beautiful. I can't imagine Sarah ever looking down on anyone, not in my past or future life. On the contrary, when it comes to the other 2, they lack so much charm as individuals that they could really stand to take a leaf out of Sarah's book when it comes to decency. First, Kate. She's a genius at issuing commands and exuding an aura of intimidation. Even before I arrived, I heard she was disliked by everyone in the sales department. It was on my first day. Despite my polite greeting, she blatantly ignored me. Wondering if she was hard of hearing, I tried again louder and closer, but she ignored me once more, even though our eyes met. Seeing my confusion, Ethan commented,
Don't worry. Kate is like that with everyone. That's why she's disliked.
So I thought, such people do exist, and decided not to let it bother me. However, I was surprised to find that Ethan, who offered me that advice, also had a problematic personality.
Oh my, so the new guy is here. I was curious, but turns out he's useless. The last thing we need in our busy department is someone who can't pull their weight. After hearing about Michael's education from Kate, she didn't know. He must be a high school grad at best. I'll use polite language since he's technically senior, but I've been here longer, so I'll make him work hard.
I overheard Ethan saying this to a colleague in the break room shortly after joining. Well, it's fine. I have my sole source of comfort, the goddess Sarah. Her smile motivates me to do my best.
Ethan, you forgot to clean the coffee maker again.
The next morning, Kate's shrill voice filled the office.
Sorry, but the coffee duty has been handed over to Michael since yesterday, so it's not my fault.
Ethan hastily defended himself, feeling sorry for him, getting scolded first thing in the morning by a boss with such mood swings. I was setting up my computer and reading the company manual. Wait, did you just say my name? I looked up at Ethan.
Michael, you take over a job and then just talk. So incompetent right from the start. I wonder why the president even hired you mid-career.
Kate raised her voice in anger. It seemed the direction of her anger had shifted to me. But I don't recall Ethan asking me to take over coffee duties, nor did I offer to. A complete misunderstanding. As I was about to argue back, Ethan said,
Kate, I'm going to go to the break room and show Michael how to make coffee.
He forcefully led me to the break room, signaling me to follow. Why are you lying? I wasn't asked to be in charge of coffee.
Come on, it's all about helping each other out when we're in a bind.
I figured Ethan must have been the low man on the totem pole, bossed around by Kate before I arrived, so I felt a bit sorry for him. All right, I guess making coffee every morning isn't such a big deal. Thanks, he said bluntly, leaving me alone in the break room and quickly returning to his desk. Well, whatever. I didn't need to ask how to use the coffee maker, and I found the coffee grounds easily enough by rummaging through the cupboard, so it was no problem. It seems like Kate was waiting for her coffee, so I would go ahead and make everyone's. But when I handed it to her, she just took it without saying thanks and stayed silent, still being her usual standoffish self. I briefly thought it would be amusing if she was guarded, but even if she were, I knew I could never have any feelings for Kate. In contrast, Sarah's graceful behavior and consideration were so perfect that just seeing her made all the unpleasant things vanish.
Thank you. If you're ever busy or having a hard time, please let me take over anytime.
I almost blurted out, "Are you an angel?" "No, a goddess," but I held back. Her speaking politely even to a person with less tenure like me was adorable. I even found myself fantasizing, stupidly smiling at the thought that I wouldn't mind if Sarah were mean to me, but it turns out I wasn't the only one who adored her. And that person was very close by. A month after I joined, our biggest client opportunity since the launch of the Overseas Business Promotion Department came in. A company called World Bay Corporation, an overseas jewelry retailer, might place a large order for our high-priced jewelry. If all went well, it could mean about $100 million in sales. Our company had mainly dealt with domestic companies until now, but this deal was on a much larger scale, truly a result of our efforts to promote overseas business. I saw our department head, George, smiling as he came to Kate's desk to talk about it. That deal, it's just something that got passed to us from the domestic sales team. Kate didn't contribute anything. Ethan had muttered so Kate couldn't hear. After George left, Kate looked around at the three of us and said,
We absolutely must land this contract. It's non-negotiable. Of course, Sarah is the only one I can trust with this. All right, I'm counting on you.
Understood.
I'll send the details by email later. Check them. The COO, Louis, will be visiting us soon, so please prepare the negotiation documents by then. I'm counting on you.
Kate then left for lunch without doing anything herself.
Kate isn't going to do anything. Huh? Sarah, I'll help with anything. So let's work hard together.
Thank you. I'd be overwhelmed on my own, so I might need your help.
Sarah then turned to me.
Michael, I might ask you for help too when things get tough. Sorry, but but please.
Of course, anytime. I was about to say when Ethan cut in.
Nat, Sarah, I wouldn't rely on Michael. He's probably just a high school grad with no qualifications. I graduated from a community college, so I'm more reliable.
Don't talk like that.
But it's true, isn't it?
Not wanting to argue in front of Sarah, I kept silent. And so, Ethan kept offering his help to Sarah.
I can help you out. If you're free tonight, maybe we can talk over drinks.
Ethan's straightforwardness was obvious, his actions clearly showing his interest in Sarah. Direct and honest, you might say. Sarah always declined his invitations, leading me to speculate she might have a boyfriend. Once, as a joke, I said the following and it ended with such an exchange. "I'll join you for drinks."
No, that won't be necessary.
And so, a month later, on the day COO Lewis was visiting, Sarah had gathered all sorts of documents for the negotiation. Those were from our jewelry specs to our factory's production capabilities and delivery schedules, all neatly compiled and even translated into Spanish.
COO, Lewis is fluent in English, so you don't have to try too hard in Spanish.
Yes, but I still think it's better to communicate as much as possible in the client's native language for the best outcome.
At the same time, the Overseas Business Promotion Department has seen an increase in deals with overseas partners. While they weren't major clients, Ethan and I were each tasked with different jobs, keeping us busy every day. And then, weeks flew by in a flurry. One day, I had been out for meetings both that day and the day before, not stepping foot in the office, constantly on the go. After wrapping up my meetings successfully and returning to the office, I walked in to find a crisis unfolding.
Kate, it's serious. The documents Sarah prepared have been tampered with, and if nothing is done, the deal will fall through. Please, do something.
I Ethan pleading at Kate's desk, his face pale with desperation. Kate, too, looked shocked, her mouth agape as if to say, "You can't be serious." Right, it's today when Lewis, the COO of our major client, World Bay Corporation, was coming to the US. The deal, which Sarah was in charge of, with Ethan supporting, was expected to be our biggest yet. We're looking at the deal here that's poised to hit the highest revenue we've ever seen in our company's history. A whopping $100 million. A failure would be a disaster for the company.
What are you talking about? We thoroughly checked the documents yesterday. There's no way they could have been altered. Check again.
I've checked multiple times. The original documents are nowhere to be found. Only the altered data.
Ethan, go and get Sarah. Get Sarah.
Sarah's currently explaining the situation to Lewis, the COO of World Bay Corporation, and can't leave.
No choice then. Making me deal with this. You guys won't be forgiven later.
She entered the conference room with Ethan. As I was left alone in the office, worrying about the big trouble, I was startled by a voice from behind asking, "What's wrong?" "George, when did you get here?"
I just arrived. It seemed like something serious was going on.
George, the director of our department, always easygoing, said this to me in his usual carefree manner. I explained the situation since it was a major issue for the company. The COO of our major client, World Bay Corporation, is here for a meeting, but there seems to be a holdup because the documents Sarah prepared were tampered with. Ethan came to call me, and manager Kate has gone to offer help in the conference room now." Right after I finished explaining, George said this.
Kate can't handle this. You go help, Michael.
Me?
Yes, you. You can get through this.
I didn't know why George was so confident, but he wasn't wrong. I was sure I could handle this crisis. Understood. Without hesitation, I said that and knocked on the conference room door before entering. Inside, Kate was desperately explaining to Louis, with Sarah about to cry and Ethan looking helpless.
Sarah, what are you saying? We can't proceed with the deal based on that explanation. We'll have to start over.
It was indeed a bad situation. In that moment, seeing me, Kate said,
Michael, why are you coming in now? It's a critical moment. Your presence ruins everything. Go make some coffee.
Kate ordered me with a fierce look. Then George, standing behind me, said,
Kate, you're the one to make coffee. Leave the negotiation to Michael.
George, I hate to say it, but Michael is the least capable employee in our department, so I cannot agree with letting him handle this crucial negotiation.
Kate was desperately trying to calm herself. Kate, this isn't a suggestion. It's an order. Just go ahead and do as you're told, he said firmly, unlike his usual gentle manner. At those words, Kate couldn't object but stepped back with an unconvinced look, glaring at me.
Excuse me. I'm George, the department head. I'm sorry for any inconvenience caused. Michael will take over. He's an excellent employee, a Harvard graduate.
George quickly approached Louis and exchanged greetings with him for the first time.
What?
Huh?
Indeed, you seem to have a smart look, Michael. I feel reassured discussing with you.
After exchanging greetings with George, Louis extended his hand for a handshake to me. As Kate and Ethan looked on in astonishment, I hurried over to Louis. Pleased to meet you, I said as we shook hands, and then I sat next to Sarah. Ethan looked at my face with expression that seemed to say, "What on earth?" George, unusually serious, whispered in my ear with a smile.
Michael, I know you understand, but this is a crucial negotiation for our company. Now is the time to rely on your skills.
Understood. After saying that, I took a deep breath and began speaking to Louis in fluent Spanish. Kate and Ethan watched me with their eyes wide and mouths agape. I apologized to Louis in Spanish for the somehow mix-up with the documents. Louis seemed to cheer up, being able to proceed in his native language. Then, I quietly said to Sarah, "Please check if there's any trace left of the tampered document data. I'll keep the conversation going."
Ethan has been looking, but there's nothing. Plus, we can access the shared folder where the deleted data should be.
From this company laptop, you can access folders restricted to executives. Try searching from here. I handed her my laptop. Surprised but understanding the urgency, she followed my instructions. After a while,
Michael, I found it. My document is in the executive folder.
Great. Let's print it out quickly and hand it over to Louis.
Okay.
Sarah headed to the copier. It seems the problem will be solved. Michael, you are an excellent employee. With you here, I feel reassured about moving forward with our business. Lewis commented after watching our interaction. Kate looked a bit relieved, but also had a complicated expression on her face. Soon after, Sarah returned with the correct documents. Lewis was satisfied with the negotiation documents, including Sarah's Spanish explanations. We successfully agreed on the deal. After seeing Lewis out and returning to our desks, Kate and Ethan gave me meaningful looks. Kate was the first to speak up.
Michael, if you were fluent in Spanish, you should have said so from the start. Why are you embarrassing me like this? And what's with Harvard? Seriously, what's George thinking? Telling such a lie. What's he gonna do when Lewis finds out?
Exactly, Michael. Helping us out like that just makes us look bad.
I had no intention of embarrassing anyone. I just wanted to save our company from a major issue. And my Harvard degree is real.
If it weren't for Michael, we would have lost a $100 million deal. I can only be grateful to him. I'm truly sorry for my mistake.
Sarah immediately stood up and offered a sincere apology. I quickly said, "Sarah, it's not your fault. It's clear someone tampered with the documents. You're a victim here. You don't need to apologize."
Right. Sarah did nothing wrong. And Michael, stop making up your educational background.
Sarah was on the verge of tears. And oh, just stop causing me trouble, Kate said in anger. Then the door clicked open.
Bob.
Our company's president, Bob Walker, stood there.
I heard there was trouble, but I'm grateful you secured the contract. Thank you.
It's nothing. We'll make sure this never happens again.
Hearing this, Sarah quickly stood up.
I'm so sorry.
Sarah, it's not your fault. No need to apologize. We've investigated the issue. It was the doing of an employee from another department. We found out after checking the computers. Unfortunately, that employee will be terminated. Tampering with important negotiation documents is a serious offense. Sarah, you did nothing wrong, so don't worry.
Thank you.
Bob continued.
We will review our security and update our data handling rules tomorrow. Please check the notice when it comes out. And Michael.
Yes, I responded, startled at being suddenly addressed.
You really helped us out. George told me about your crisis management and excellent Spanish skills. I'm grateful we got someone as talented as you through your uncle's introduction. We've just started our overseas business promotion department, and we'll be relying on your skills. Of course, we'll increase your position and salary accordingly. Any employee who interferes with his work will be seen as obstructing the company's business and will be dealt with accordingly.
Bob said this, looking intently at Kate and then glancing at Ethan.
Bob, I wanted to ask, is it really true that Michael graduated from Harvard?
Bob, I've stopped hiding it, so it's okay to disclose now.
It's true, Kate.
That evening, looking more tired than usual, Kate and Ethan left right at quitting time, and as I was getting ready to leave, George slapped me on the shoulder.
Good work today. Would you like to grab a drink?
It was a rare invitation, so I happily accepted with a definitely. Sarah was still at the office too, and George invited her along, so the three of us went out together. We left the company and turned into a back alley, entering a stylish restaurant that George frequented. I've always had a good impression of George among my superiors. He's a gentleman, soft-spoken, and liked by everyone. Yet when it's time to work, he doesn't hold back and is very capable. And having dinner with Sarah after work was a first for me, which made me happy. She said she wasn't good with alcohol, but as she opened the bottle for our first beer, she looked so cute. She's older than me, so it might be rude to call her cute, but it was true.
Really? Today? Our company was saved thanks to you too. I invited you out as a thank you. The work data, whatever it may be, goes into a separate folder if deleted. That folder can only be accessed by a limited number of executives. But I trusted you, Michael, so I gave you access just in case. That came in handy this time.
I heard from Bob that the person who tampered with the documents has been identified.
Yes, that's right. That's partly why I thought it was important to tell you. The culprit was Emma from the domestic business department.
I had my suspicions.
It turns out it was a complicated mess involving romantic relationships between Sarah, the female employee Emma, and another male employee, John. Seriously, I was disappointed because Sarah was popular and I thought there might be love troubles, but I was relieved to learn that Sarah wasn't actually dating anyone. Emma, who liked John, was apparently rejected because John had a crush on Sarah. This led to Emma's act of revenge due to her grudge. Sarah had been harassed by Emma before, so Sarah was completely innocent but got caught in the crossfire. Being beautiful might have its advantages, but it also seemed to bring trouble. So, Sarah is a wonderful woman. You already have someone decided, right? Not so subtly, George laughed at me.
No, I'm not seeing anyone.
I blurted out what, loudly. It caused George to burst into laughter.
But to think we'd have a Harvard graduate join our company.
Wait, George, you knew about that too. I thought only Bob knew. I had informed Bob, the president, about my educational background when I joined the company, but I had asked him to keep it private.
Yeah, Bob mentioned you didn't want to disclose your education, but as a director and someone he trusted, he let me in on it, making sure not to tell Kate.
Why did you want to hide your prestigious education?
I actually worked at a Spanish company right after graduating where I didn't hide my education, but my coworker was being ridiculed because of me. Michael, you went to Harvard, was making comments like he went to some low-tier university or something like that. That coworker ended up leaving the company because of it. But working together, I also made a mistake. I realized then that there was nothing but prejudice based on education, and I started questioning the value of my Harvard graduate title. So when I got the offer from this company, I asked Bob to keep my education a secret.
And because of that, Kate and Ethan thought you were just a high school graduate, looking down on you.
Yay, compared to my previous company, it was interesting to see how differently people treated me without knowing my background.
But Sarah was different, right? Actually, about a month after you joined, I asked Sarah her impression of you, and...
George, please stop. It's embarrassing, Sarah said, her face turning beet red.
Well, let me say it without worrying about it. She said with a bright smile that you're kind and considerate. A truly wonderful man. I chuckled because I actually didn't ask her what she thinks of you as a guy. I just asked about her impression as a colleague. She blushed when I teased her about liking you.
And then, I was eager to know Sarah's response to his asking, "Do you like him?" But George stopped there, leaving me hanging. Before hearing the rest of the story, I realized in a silent exchange between us guys that I should express my feelings to Sarah. 2 months later, my work was recognized, and I was promoted to the manager of the Overseas Business Promotion Department. Former manager, Kate, had been demoted to a regular employee handling product management, likely due to her history of neglecting her duties and having a bad reputation among the staff for always leaving work early. Ethan, since my promotion, stopped his cocky behavior towards me. He's working under me in the same department, but he's not exactly friendly either. I suppose that is understandable. After all, not only did I become a manager suddenly, which he probably didn't like, but there was another thing that definitely made things worse for him.
What should we have for dinner tonight?
Sarah asked, gripping my arm tightly and leaning in close as we walked to the train station. Sarah, maybe we shouldn't hold arms here. We might run into someone from work.
It's fine. We're not doing anything wrong. Everyone at work already knows we're dating.
But what about the men at work who liked you? What if they do something to me?
If anyone tries to harm you, I'll protect you with all my might.
Sarah said, making a fist. Her gesture was so endearing that I let go of her arm only to grasp her hand again, and we boarded the train hand in hand. Sarah and I started dating and quickly moved in together. I want to express my utmost gratitude for finding a reliable partner. I cherish those who believe in me for who I am, not for my title. I'll work hard and make her happy. Looking at a wedding advertisement in the train, I resolved in my heart, all right.
What's all right?
What if I said fine dining?
Dinner's gonna be steak.
Feeling even happier, I smiled, way to go.